I now call this meeting of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association Student Senate to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to begin our Student Senate meeting taking place on Thursday, October 9th, 2025 with a land acknowledgement. We recognize that Kansas State University, as the first land-grant institution, stands on the ancestral lands of the Kaw people. Our state of Kansas is home to 4 federally recognized Native nations, the Iowa, Kickapoo, Prairie Band Potawatomi, and Sac and Fox. We must remember that the land serving as the foundation for this institution was and still is stolen land acquired by white settlers. We pledge our commitment to creating decolonized spaces at the university while advocating for the support and future success of Indigenous faculty, staff, and students at K-State. Speaker Pro Tem Lee will now take it away with first roll call.
Welcome back. Alvarez.
Here.
Barnes.
Here.
Benson. Barnes. Brown. Logan.
Here.
Brown. Wyatt.
Here.
Carey.
Here.
Koch.
Here.
Dunn.
Here.
Dominguez. Erickson.
Here.
Freeman.
Here.
George. Great. Griffith.
Yeah.
Thanks. Griffith.
Yeah.
I got you, George. I got you. Griffith. Glasscock.
Here.
Haug. Halstead.
Here.
Heller.
Here.
Hernandez.
Here. Paparazzi.
Gotcha. Holmes.
Here.
Holzmeister. Kramer. Karina Rathna.
Here. Here.
Kraus.
Here.
Jacobson. Hassan Shakib.
Here.
Landwehr.
Here.
Lilly.
Here.
Mickey.
Here.
Mitchell.
Here.
Olengunju. Okay. Otto.
Here.
Pena.
Here.
Perry.
Here.
Phillips.
Here.
Polanco Castro.
Here.
Potter.
Here.
Prey.
Here.
Rafferty.
Here.
Richburg.
Here.
Richenberg.
Here.
Rogers.
Here.
Rudd.
Here.
Scarborough.
Here by proxy.
Gotcha. Shellhaze.
Here.
Shirky.
Here.
Sasavari.
Here.
Springer.
Here.
Here.
Trump.
He's in the parking lot.
Okay, I gotcha. Zacco.
Here.
Gotcha.
I'm here too.
Gotcha.
And also Matt's here. He's in the parking lot. Right there.
Okay, great. I'll go back through here. Okay, for proxies tonight, I have Halstead for Biswell, Brown for Black, Sushanik for Hoffman, Shirky for Solis. Is there anyone else like skipped? Yeah.
Zacco for Rogers for the second half.
Okay.
Done for
Done for who?
Hernandez.
Done for Hernandez. Okay. What about you, Logan?
Am I covering for Black or Blonde?
I don't think you're covering for anyone anymore. You're Brown for Black. That wasn't you. That was Brown. Wyatt. Sorry. Yeah. Max, you're here. Thanks. Max did the milk mile today. Congrats. He won. Anyone else? Yes.
You got Scarborough for Shelley's for Scarborough, right?
Shelley's from Scarborough. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, that's it.
All right, so we will now move into our first open period. Our first open period speakers are Kansas State Athletics. So if you guys will please close your laptops and give them your full attention. Please welcome our speakers.
Good evening, everybody. Always a pleasure to come speak to you guys and just give a little update on Kansas State athletics. And I try not to go too long so I can give you the opportunity to ask as many questions as you would like to ask, because I think you probably have more questions than I can provide you information coming from me. But it started July 1st, the new world of college athletics, and that's what we call revenue share. So we're in the business of revenue share, which is about a $20,500,000 new budget line item that we had to come up with in order to, based on a lawsuit that we settled with the former student athletes called the House Settlement. That settlement was talked about for a number of years. It was brought by a former student athlete that sued the NCAA because they wanted their ability to make money off of their name, image, and likeness rights. And over the course of many months, they came up to the settlement, and the $20,500,000 number comes from 22% of the average revenue of the Power 5 conferences. And the average revenue is, when you do the math, it boils down to $20,500,000. How did they come up with 22%? The plaintiffs started with 100%, and they gave us credit for scholarships and some of the things we were already giving student athletes, and it came out to 22%. The student athletes can also still earn true name, image, and likeness. Any dollar amount above $600 goes through a system in which it gets approved or not approved. That's called the Deloitte, it's called NIL Go. And so that process has been ongoing since July. The first payment to the student athletes started July 31st. Our revenue, football, men's basketball, women's basketball get a majority of the revenue share of that $20,500,000. But every sport that we have will receive some dollar amount. The other piece of this lawsuit is we don't longer have limit on scholarships. Before, we used to have 85 scholarships for football. That's the most we could give. 13 for men's basketball, et cetera, et cetera. We no longer have scholarship limits, so we could add new scholarships. So we added about 1.1 million in new scholarships. Those scholarships went primarily to the women's programs. About 19 of the scholarships we gave were a total of 24, 19 of which went to the women's programs. So those are a lot of good things. There are some challenges with it in terms of the processes we had to come up with, not K-State, but nationally, and then trying to work through those processes and making sure all the checks and balances were there. Now the challenge is making sure people stay within the $20,500,000 and don't circumvent the cap. That's a process that's ongoing. We have a new group that oversees the settlement. It's called College Sports Commission. And they will make sure that schools are staying within the cap, and anybody that circumvents the cap, they'll come in and do an investigation and put penalties on those schools that circumvent the cap. But that's probably going to come a little bit later. So it's a new challenge for all of us in the world of college athletics. It's probably one of the most challenging things we faced in the world of college athletics since I've been in. I've been in it a long time. Obviously, we all lived through COVID at one point. We've had financial challenges over the years. Back in the 80s, we had an economic downturn that caused a lot of programs to cut sports, but this is literally probably one of the biggest challenges we faced in my time, and I've been in this business about 40 years now. So we are working through it. We've added a couple of staff members to manage the cap system, and our coaches have been great working with our administrators and figuring out what they needed in terms of how much revenue share they need, how much scholarships they need. And so right now, we'll continue to do this. And the challenging thing is every year, that $20,500,000 goes up by 4%. And every 3 years, it gets another look to see where the revenues are, and the revenues, it could go up again. So for us, from a funding perspective, that's our biggest challenge, is where do we come up with the $20,500,000? Right now, it's coming back on our donors. We're looking for new revenue sources across our program. Where can we find new dollars? Where are we missing new dollars? Creating new opportunities, whether it's Bramlage naming opportunities, putting corporate logos on the football field. The NCAA, we just passed a new policy that'll take effect next August, that we'll be able to put jersey patches on our athletes' jerseys. That'll be a new revenue opportunity for us. So it's a challenge, but our donors have stepped up like they have in the past. The good news for us, we don't have any major facility campaigns. And so most of our focus is on this effort. Obviously, from a program's perspective, football's struggling a little bit right now. We're 2-4. That's never fun when you start off like that. But we played really well the last couple of games, although we lost to Baylor. We had a good game against Central Florida. I think Coach Kleiman, I have a ton of respect for him and a ton of belief in him. He'll get this thing turned around. And, our women's soccer program has got a new coach, and they're doing really well. Women's volleyball is doing really well. So the fall sports, even though football isn't having a great start of the year, I think they can get this thing turned around. So then we're already, before we know it, here in a couple weeks, we'll be into basketball. Both men and women's basketball start off, and they've been practicing for a few weeks. So it's that time of year where we've got a lot of stuff going on. This is a great weekend. It's homecoming. A lot of fun stuff going on for homecoming. We have a lot of former athletes coming back. We always enjoy that. So we'll have a lot of activities around the game. And with that, I will fire it up for questions. If you guys go right ahead and fire away.
Are there any questions? Burton.
Do you think that kind of the heart of college athletics is being taken away by this move towards like transactional relationships for athletes?
No, that's a great question. I don't think so. I'm trying to be optimistic as I can. I think at the end of the day, yes, the athletes are making money, and that's different. It's a hard discussion to have with your donors because the donors question, why am I going to give money if it's going to the athletes? I just know, because I go to watch practice and I watch how hard our athletes work to put themselves in a position to be successful. I know the time of demands that we put on the athletes. They still have to be academic eligible. They still have to go to classes. They still have to pass their classes. They still have to graduate. So even though they're now making money, I still think the desire for them to be here and represent K-State and win conference championships and play in in-state tournaments is still very much there. I see the look on their players' faces when we do lose, and it hurts still a lot. So those feelings are still there. The culture is still there. I think that's one of the biggest challenges, balancing the culture with players that are making, more money than other players. So, but I still think the heart of college athletics is there, but we have to be very careful because it could go south on us if we're not.
Senator Trump.
The absence of the student meal deal has been sorely missed from all of us in the bill. Do you have any insight as to why that is no longer available?
The what?
The student meal deal for like the $2 hot dogs?
Oh, yeah, because our budget just went up by $20,500,000. A $2 hot dog we can't really afford to give away quite anymore. So, that's one of the challenges, obviously, as we look to see how do we, our concession prices, to be honest with you, if you've been to other venues, are still really reasonable. And so, but we have to balance that because we have to be careful that, we want fans to come, we want students to come, we want them to be able, you guys drive a lot of energy. You bought the most season tickets than you've ever purchased in football since I've been here. You bought almost 8,400 season tickets. That's awesome. And so balancing that, but yeah, to still continue to sell $2 hot dogs got to a point where we had, we probably need to look at that.
Fortunate.
Senator Pena.
Is there a concern that donors might get, start to not want to give, but maybe not necessarily want to give as much due to continually being asked to give more and more?
Yeah, no, I'll give you an example, and that's a conversation. We have a pretty good donor. We go out to the Western Kansas for the Nut Fry, and he picked us up. He's wealthy. He's got a plane. Picked us up in Manhattan. We flew out to Western Kansas. He's very upfront with his feelings. He's a big supporter of football and basketball. And when you go out to Western Kansas, he certainly enjoyed some beverages. And then when we were getting ready to leave, there was a storm blow through, so we were in his hangar. I mean, again, the guy's doing pretty well. And he continued to have a few beverages. So then the storm blew off, and we took off and came back to Manhattan. And he was pretty adamant. At one point, I thought he was going to throw me off the plane because of the conversation we were having about how he was not going to give money anymore to give money to athletes. And fortunately, we had some coaches on the plane, and they started saying, well, you can give to scholarships. You can give to student athlete support. You can give, there's other ways to give. And he said, yeah, but they're not going to class. And we said, oh, they're still going to class. They still have to be eligible. They still have to graduate. And he said, so are you guys checking grades? And we're like, yeah. So by the time we landed in Manhattan, fortunately, he had turned, and he realized that
Time for questions has expired. Sorry.
You know, he still realized that he needed to help. So you just got to kind of manage that conversation. But I still think they really want to, they understand if we're not successful, that's not a good thing.
Senator Zacco.
What's the rule for how long I can extend questions? 4. Okay, I move to suspend the rules and extend the time for questioning by 5 minutes. Oh, fine, 4, I withdraw. I move to extend the time for questioning by 4 minutes. Second.
Okay. Sorry. All right. Speaker's time has been extended by 4 minutes. Senator Griffith.
So before the question period, you stated that you still have full faith in Coach Kleiman. Does that mean that you have decided against terminating his contract prior to the conclusion of this season?
Yes, it never crossed my mind. If you remember, the last 4 years, he's averaged 9 wins a season. He won a conference championship in 2023. There's been only 5 other schools that have won as many games as he has over the last, and that's Alabama, Florida State, Clemson. So I think we're pretty good hands with Coach Kleiman. And so I have no desire or no thoughts of terminating Coach Kleiman anytime soon.
Chair Suchanek.
This year we saw for student tickets the implementation of the Apple ID binding for Apple wallets. Could you give us some reason and justifications for why students can't sell tickets between each other? And maybe is there a way to do it safer so that we're not sharing private data and passwords with each other?
So my staff is really good. We knew this was coming, and I wouldn't be able to answer this by myself. So I'm going to read it.
Perfect.
Our student pass policy has not changed. Students have not been able to transfer their passes the past several years. The update has come from Apple, which recently increased the security of the Apple Wallet. As a result, our ticket provider must comply with Apple's new requirements to ensure continued compatibility. It says students should not share their login information with others and should follow campus and athletic policies in place. So it's not an issue of us, and we actually have been working with our ticket provider, which is Pacquiao, to see what can we do for the students, but right now it's a policy that's out of our control. But we've never been able, in several years, we have not allowed students to transfer tickets.
Any further questions? Chief of Staff Henley.
Sorry for this question. I think that it's kind of a good question for this group specifically. So, as you mentioned that a lot of the schools in the Big 12 operate off of like student funding from a fee that goes to them. Obviously, here at K-State, we don't pay a student fee that goes directly towards athletics. Do you ever see that being something that we would implement in the future?
You know,
Help reach the 20.5.
Yeah, never say never, but you're right. And I put up talked a little bit about where this Big 12 schools are. There's a lot of schools in our conference that get a significant amount of money towards their athletic budget from institutional dollars, from tuition discounts, and heavy student fees. Central Florida probably gets 60 or 70% of their budget coming from on the backs of the students and the university. We don't do that. We don't get student fees. We don't get institutional dollars. We don't get tuition discounts. We're 100% self-funded, and that's a good thing. But it's a challenge when you're coming up with $20.5 million. That being said, what I tell people all the time, our students do pay for tickets. And so you're about $1.4 million, $1.5 million in revenue to us because you buy your tickets. A lot of places that charge student fees, those students don't have to pay for their tickets. Many of them get in free. So you are a revenue source for us, so it's not like we're not getting anything out of the students. And the good news is the only students that have to fund are those that want to go to the games, where a lot of schools pay a student fee, and the majority of the students don't really support athletics, but they end up paying an athletic fee anyway. So for us, I don't see it anytime soon for a couple reasons. One, like I said, we're already getting dollars, but two, I think the Board of Regents would really struggle with a student fee, and it would be a challenge to go down that. But that's not a path we look to go down anytime soon.
Time for questions has expired.
I have a point of information question. There's a memorandum of understanding at the very bottom of our statutes that kind of explains that we don't give them money and is worth reading.
Senator Griffith.
Thank you.
I move to suspend the rules and extend the speaker's time for questions by 6 minutes.
Is there a second? Okay.
We get more time. That's okay.
All right.
She's mad because she only got 4.
Is there? Are there any other questions or motions? All right, let's bring it back in.
Okay.
Are there any other motions to extend the speaker's time? All right.
All right,
Seeing none.
thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, and with that, we will move into the approval of the minutes. The minutes were distributed along with the agenda. Are there any questions, or are there any corrections to the minutes? Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Senator Springer. Are there any objections? All right, the minutes stand approved. Okay, for announcements, I'll just briefly skim these. Member at large applications are still open. Please continue to share that with your friends. Again, to streamline communication to the comms agency, fill out the social media post request form. And then finally, a huge thank you to our comms director, Cappy Hoding, who is not here tonight, for her outstanding leadership and creativity this semester. Cappy has worked hard to establish a more effective and transparent way of communicating SGA's work with K-State students, including creating weekly Senate recaps. Her dedication and vision are taking SGA's outreach to the next level. Thank you for all you do, Cappy. Okay, and then finally, our quote for the week. I am convinced that success is not measured by what you get out of life, but by what you give back. U.S. Senator Jerry Moran. All right, and with that, we will move into committee reports. Are there any committee chairs that would like to give a report tonight? Chair Lilly.
All right, so same as every other week, we have empty seats in HHS. Get people to email me, that'd be cool. Same with vet med. But also, we're getting to the time of year where the attendance policy is kind of starting to matter. You can have 3 unexcused absences from a committee, and then you're eligible for expulsion. 3 unexcused absences from Senate, or 6 excused absences from Senate also requires you get reviewed for expulsion. You can't just get excused every time, and we're running into that problem with a couple people. So, just so everyone's aware.
Senator Zacco.
Out of curiosity, without like naming specific names, just like yes or no, do we currently have senators up for expulsion due to unexcused absences, or have those senators already been removed?
No one is eligible for expulsion on the basis of absences right now. Otherwise, we would have met.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Chair Lilly. All right, Senator Freeman. Okay, you can come up to the front, and everyone else can as well. All right, so we're going to have a report from the Joint Committee on Officer Compensation. They will have their report pulled up on the screen, and then there will be time for questions after their report. So.
You guys want to walk around?
Oh.
Hello, my name is Ben Ridgerberg from the College of Education.
Hi, my name is Drew Mickey. I'm one of the Senate elects, and I'm in the College of Agriculture.
My name is Ella Irwin. I'm the Chancellor of Tribunal, and I'm the judicial appointee.
Hi, my name is Emily Freeman. I'm in the College of Arts and Science, and I am the Senate elect.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ibrahim Chifchi. I'm the executive appointee, and we are the Joint Committee on Officer Compensation. We'll get into what we are later in the slide, but essentially we review scholarship compensation for the officer positions in SGA. So just a quick purpose and overview slide. We review and recommend officer compensation every 3 years. Why 3 years, you may ask? It's because positions really don't change their legislative duties within a year, so we like to kind of space that out. If you guys are interested in what bylaw the committee is in, it's in Article 5, Section 12. And our process is 6 meetings, although we did meet, I think, a couple times more than that. We talked over Teams quite a bit, and in order for our recommendations to be on the report, all of the committee members have to agree.
Okay, so the historical context of JCOC, it was established in 1997. You can find the bill right here, and you can find amendments to it after there. And we review every 3 years, like Ibrahim said, since 1998, whenever it was Bill 989940 was enacted, created so that we met every 3 years. And again, our purpose is to ensure that we have fair, equitable, and sustainable officer compensation. And again, that 3 years is just so we can see if the position changes, so if there's reason to change compensation for an officer.
So we did review, we had to do a little bit of research. This wasn't solely based on our opinions. We consulted the current SGA Constitution and bylaws, as well as past JCOC reports, most importantly the 2019 and 2022, as well as sending out surveys to gather some data. We sent a survey to all of the KBOR institutions and the Big 12 institutions to see how they compensate their officers and see if we're in line with that, as well as we sent it out to alumni officers dating back to, I believe, 2022, and we had over 35 responses from that.
So just as Emily was saying, when we looked at the compensations, we solely went off legislative duties. That was our top priority. The reason for this is we can't go off what individuals do based on the year or whoever is in that position. We looked at legislative duties to ensure that we have a consistent review process. We looked at parity amongst branch heads. We want to have the right compensation across the branches, and we want to align that. And we looked at the feasibility.
So the feasibility means that we just need to remain within our total tuition allocation cap that we're provided, and that is 480%. We would love to be able to give out more, but what we have right now is this 480%, and we need to stick to that so all officer compensations reflect this total allocation that we have.
So this is our 2025 recommendations. Highlighted in the lavender is what is changing. I'll give you guys just a second to look at that. While y'all are looking at that, I'll kind of talk about our rationale. Like we've been talking about, we focused on the legislative duties exclusively that were written in the bylaws and the Constitution. That's what we deemed fair. We didn't think it was fair to go based on unlegislated duties because that changes from year to year based on requirements and what the needs of that role may be. We also, like Ella was saying, we had to stay prudent with our limited budget of 480%. We were not allowed to go over that. So that really put a constraint on what we were working with, as well as we were working towards parity amongst branch heads. If you'll notice, there is only a 25% difference between each branch head, which was important for us to work on.
All right. So I'll take it with the exec branch. Essentially, the slide is saying we did not change anything on the executive branch. We believe the student body president has a high workload due to their legislative duties, so we kept their tuition compensation at 100%. Same goes for the student body president at 50%, and then the chief of staff at 35%. Again, these decisions were not based. We looked at the surveys, but we really strictly looked at the legislative duties to ensure consistency across the years.
For our legislative branch, we looked at the Speaker of the Senate and we decided that based on legislative duties and the ability to delegate tasks across the branch, that 75% is fair for this compensation. We didn't see any need for a change in Speaker pro tempore.
Time has expired.
Senator Pena.
Suspend the rules and add additional 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, none of our chairs except for tuition enhancement's chair are changing. Tuition enhancement is going to be 10% based on our recommendation. This is to promote equity similar to, we see that their roles are similar to other ones that are compensated, such as SOC and the formerly DEIB chair.
And then our judicial branch, we made the recommendation that Attorney General should increase their compensation from 45% to 50%. Attorney General is a position that can't have duties allocated to other members as of confidentiality. And we also want to have parity amongst branch heads and move to working to have compensations be more equal among the branch heads. And then for Deputy Attorney General, we recommended no change in compensation. We believe that the legislative duties reflect their compensation they currently have.
Yeah, and then our final task was to look at the independent positions. So we looked at emerging leaders, communications director, and the elections commissioner. For the emerging leaders coordinator, this was a pretty long conversation within our committee. We said no recommended change in compensation due to it being tricky. And like, what if there's one? What if there's two? How do we split that? What if they work a lot more one year than they worked the previous year? So we have to keep those in mind. And it's kind of not in the committee's duties to, change legislation or recommend that. So that's up to you guys. So.
Yeah, for our communications director, kind of like what Evelyn was saying, we see this role has really changed, and there is a new legislated duty of running the communications agency, which is why we deemed an increase in compensation to 5%.
And then for elections commissioner, we recommended no change in compensation. We believe that their hourly pay during their 6-week period that would go up to 5% tuition is more than fair for their legislative duties for the period they're active.
And we'll open up for questions.
Senator Zacko.
Could you speak to the committee's reasoning for the Senate Operations Chair staying at 10% when I would argue that chair does the most work out of all the chairs?
Yeah, like we talked about, we are constrained to the 480%, and as much as we would like to increase everyone's pay, there's only 480% to give out, and so we're very limited in what we could do. Is that?
So, I mean, that doesn't really answer my question. Why didn't you reduce, I don't know, I guess, what is your reasoning for having some chairs be significantly higher than other chairs, which I'm saying I would argue the ops chair does proportionately the most amount of work, in my opinion.
Yeah, again, the Senate Ops Chair, like, they do a lot of work, but we strictly looked at legislative duties. I know Joseph does a lot of work, and I know he's trying to get some stuff passed, but we can't look at that. We have to look at what's in the bylaws. When we were doing this committee, when we were in the committee, we strictly looked at what was in the bylaws. We read it over them, and we decided that was fair.
Chair Lilly.
This is not even really a question, it's more of a point of information. The stuff that we passed last week, they did not get to look at. So I don't know if you guys saw, but the ops chair is required to update the bylaws every other week from now on. That is, I think, where the previous speaker's line of questioning may be coming from.
Yeah, it's a good point of information. We didn't know that.
Senator Griffin.
I believe I recall this being brought up in 22, the last time JCOC was called, but the emerging leaders coordinator continues to be one of the most important positions and is consistently difficult to refuse, partially due to the compensation. So how come you still decided against raising their compensation?
Yeah, so this was something we debated very, very heavily. I think we spent like 2 meetings talking specifically about this. One of our concerns is the inconsistency of how many coordinators there are. There's been 2 and there's been 1. And so something that was an issue for us is how do we pay them? And if there's 2, do they get 5% and then split that? And then if there's 1, is that one person getting 5% every time? Or is that 2.5% going nowhere? And so that was a concern that we had, and we don't have the power to be able to say there will be 1 coordinator, there will be 2 coordinators. And so if that's brought up and that's changed, then that's something that I think further JCOC committees should look at.
Senator Jacobson.
Yeah, so what's your reasoning behind emerging leaders? I know they don't have any really big duties here, but they have, that's like the whole reason how we even recruit people, and it is a lot of work. So what's the reasoning behind that?
So the other thing I will add about the emerging leaders position is that we looked at it in terms of an hourly position as well, and compensating it similar to the elections commissioner up to a 5% on an hourly basis. But when you look at that, the elections commissioner is paid separately out of that 480%. So we could do something similar to that with the emerging leaders coordinator, but that would technically require taking money out of your budget, and that would require action on your behalf. So that is not technically something that we could do. We recommend that in the future for JCOC to review, but that is kind of where we have stood on this report and what we kind of discussed in depth.
Chair Shirkey.
Sounds like you had you might have been constrained in the recommendations
due to Senate funding guidelines. Do you have something like an appendix or an alternative set of recommendations that includes a change to the percentage value? Something like an ideal set of recommendations that would be able to handle things like the support of the Emerging Leaders Program or Operation Share if the Senate thought that was necessary?
That's not in our duties, I'm gonna be honest with you. That's something Student Senate, Student Service Fee, or whoever, I think Student Service Fee reviews a committee, that's how they decide. We can't just be like, oh, we want to spend 500% tuition so we can increase compensation and make it truly, truly, truly fair. Yeah, that's just something we can't do. Yeah.
And I'll add a point of information to that as well. So I present to SSF about the SGA budget, which includes officer compensation. And so like a question that you're kind of fielding would more so lead into that of like, what is the dream for the future of officer compensation in SGA? And I would be able to talk more about that. So if we can get along after this and talk more about that too.
Chair Suchanek.
Can you explain a little bit what happens next and what the rest of your process looks like and where we go from here tonight?
I am going to stop you there. Time for questions has expired.
Senator Griffith.
I move to suspend the rules and extend the speaker's time by 10 minutes.
Objections. A lot.
Okay, was there a second? I did not. Okay, it's been moved. It's been objected to. Are there any other motions to extend the speaker's time? Senator Springer.
I move to amend the main motion by striking out 10 and inserting 5.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to. Okay, speaker's time has been extended by 5 minutes.
So to answer your question, for most of what we're aware of is as long as we don't get a bill of disapproval from you all, our recommendations are done. They will go into action for the next academic year. These will be how officers are compensated, and our entire report, which I believe y'all will be sent later. You can see what that compensation will look like for years to come. But if we do get a bill of disapproval, we'll meet again and work through to see what changes we may have, if we have any.
And we actually had this conversation with Dr. Lane, and he was not entirely sure either. But we said we'll cross that bridge when we cross that bridge. So.
Chair Suchanek.
Second, different question. Can you speak to the rationale behind why SAC receives so much more compared to KEC and Tech?
Sure, I mean, that's a great question. And to be honest, we didn't really look at SAC in a deep way. You know, we thought SAC, its legislative duties, it's a lot. And we believe the 25% is like, you know, and we believe that it was just good. You know, we believe that it hasn't been changed historically, and we didn't want to touch something that hasn't been changed in a couple years. But yeah. Does that answer your question? Thanks, Sam.
Chair Alvarez.
Did you guys look at the recent changes made to CEC and SAC that kind of like split up some of that work? Yeah.
We were not given any amendments to these positions, so everything, all of our recommendations are based off the information we were given. I do apologize for that.
Chair Lilly.
Another point of information. I can send you all of the changes to the positions for the last year so that you have all of those up-to-date stuff this weekend.
Put it in a bill of disapproval and then I'll just review it afterwards.
We technically just did, yeah.
Put it in your bill of disapproval.
Okay, are there any further questions for the committee? All right, seeing none, you guys are done.
All right, thanks, guys.
This is a bigger flight.
Are there any further committees or committee chairs that would like to give a report tonight? Okay, are there any directors that would like to give a report tonight? All right, and with that, we will move into the approval of allocations. All right, let's please limit crosstalk in the chamber so we can quickly get through this. All right, is there a motion to approve the allocations? Chair Shirky.
I move to approve the allocation unanimously.
Second.
Okay, are there any objections? All right, the allocations are approved. So we'll now move into the introduction of allocations. Is there a motion to consider Bill 252630? Chair Shirky.
I move to consider all allocations.
Second.
All right.
Where did that go?
No, they have to come up.
Yeah, you can just read the numbers. Yeah, he doesn't have to do the whole whereas.
Okay, where are we at?
25, 26, 30, 31, and 32.
Okay. Bill 25, 26, 30, allocation to the student chapter of National Association of Teachers of Singing. Wait,
Turkey.
I move to allow the author to summarize the applications.
thank you. We are giving them $1,500 to attend the national conference. It's something where they compete against other collegiate students and make K-State singing look good. And then a lot of members also come back with scholarships. Bill 25, 26, 31. Oh, Emma's here. She can read that.
The Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers is going to a national convention in Philadelphia, October 29th through November 1st, and they asked for $1,400, and we are recommending them $1,400. And that's it.
Bill 25, 26, 32 to the Early Music Society. They are hosting a recorder workshop with Ann Timberlake in the spring, and they requested $1,000. They were recommended $500. Any questions? Yeah.
Lily.
What? Why do you look like you just escaped federal prison?
I was wondering how long it would take for somebody to mention that. The short answer is like I lost a bet, but it's more complicated than that. Any questions about the allocations?
Senator Griffith.
Was it fraud you were convicted for?
I will not be answering that question.
Senator Glasscock.
On Bill 32, what is item 1? Is it funding for like supplies or something?
It is, yeah, thank you. That would be a correction. That will be LSE fees.
Any further questions for the author? All right. Thank you, Max. Don't forget your placard. All right, we will now move into the introduction of introduction of legislation. Is there a motion to consider Resolution 252623? Senator Springer.
I move to consider 252630.
Will the author please come forward? Well, actually, yeah, there you are.
All right. Resolution 252623, recommendation to Kansas State University for applied learning experiences. Authors Brady Kappelman, sponsors Zoe Pudens, Delaney Hunley, Stephen Watson, Jack O'Malley, Andrew Lee, and Evelyn Ediger. Whereas the Kansas State University Student Governing Association, as the official voice of students, strives to represent the interests of our student body and advocate for initiatives important to them. Whereas the KSU Next Gen Strategic Plan highlights applied learning experiences for all degree-seeking students as a core goal within Imperative 3, whereas applied learning experiences in early Gen Z studies have proven to aid in faster than expected career progression, seeking a mentor in the workplace, and a $15,000 higher average salary than students without experiential learning. Whereas applied learning experiences have also proven to increase retention in college, and whereas KSU SGA believes that applied learning experiences are a crucial part of every KSU student's experience. Be it resolved that, Section 1, the Kansas State University Student Governing Association supports the proposed graduation requirement for applied learning experiences for all degree-seeking students. Section 2, upon passage of the Student Senate and signature of the Student Body President, a copy of this resolution shall be sent to Faculty Senate President Sarah Lulai, Executive Director for Applied Learning, Craig Schroeder. Applied Learning Programs Administrator, Maggie Billman. Interim Dean of the College of Agriculture, Dan Moser. Dean of the College of Architecture, Planning and Design, Michael McClure. Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, Chris Culbertson. Dean of the College of Business Administration, Kevin Gwinner. Dean of the College of Education, Debbie Mercer. Interim Dean of the College of Engineering, Bradley Kramer. Dean of the College of Health and Human Sciences, Brad Benke. Dean of the Graduate School, Philip Payne. Interim Dean of the College of Veterinary Medicine, Beth Davis. CEO and Dean of the Kansas State University Salina Aerospace and Technology Campus, Alicia Starkey. CEO of K-State Olathe, Benjamin Wolf. Vice President of Academic Affairs and Innovation, Margaret Moore Schrader. And Provost Jesse Perez Mendez.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Senator Brown.
On line 3 is experience spelled right.
Great.
Chair Suchanek.
Is there any information about applied learning experiences costing students more?
That's a great question. So essentially what applied learning across campus is going to look like is each college is able to decide what that is going to look like for them, which could also include a 0 credit hour course. It could also look like your applied learning course could already be something that's tied into your program. A lot of programs already have things that are similar to applied learning. So there's a good chance it might be a class you already have to take. I'm pretty sure political science has an intern class. So there's a good chance that that course would become an applied learning tag. So students that are political science majors would take that class and they wouldn't have to do anything additional.
Senator Griffith.
So would this just become like an extra section requirement on your DARS report?
Yes, yeah. So if you guys know of like K-State 8, I think that's like my age people, but there might be like newer student. You have okay. So K-State 8's the same thing where you have tags where you have to do a global experience, like all these different things. It would be the same way where an applied learning course would have a tag that would say that, I don't know, like marketing 430 has an applied learning aspect.
Senator Palenco Castro.
This might be a little bit of a complicated question, but I'm just curious. For international students, they're not able to go work or do anything that can be applied learning without a sponsorship. How would you guys circumvent that with applied learning?
Yeah, that's a great question. So applied learning is not limited to only internships. It can also include research with a professor, it can be community engagement, and honestly, like a big conversation is like SGA could also potentially be an applied learning. So just because like maybe a lot of people would do internships, it doesn't mean. So international students have been consulted and are included in that process. Yeah.
Chair.
I have a point of information because I was in the cabinet briefing. They're looking very hard at making other student organizations and student involvement count as an applied learning experience, and it's not a credit hour threshold, it's a participation threshold. Yep. If you can get credits, that's good for you, but that's not in the stated requirements from the meeting. So they'll have alternate paths.
Yeah, thank you.
Any further questions for the author? Okay.
Thanks.
Yep, thank you. All right, next up we have Bill 252629. Is there a motion to consider Bill 29? Senator Glasscock.
I would consider Bill 29.
Will the author please come forward?
Bill 252629, Amendment to the Strategic Oversight Committee bylaws, authors Philip Shirkey, sponsors Delaney Hundley, Chief of Staff, Brady Kappelman, President, Zodi Pudens, Vice President. Whereas the Student Body President's Chief of Staff currently serves as a non-voting ex officio member of the Strategic Oversight Committee, SOC, theoretically allows them to inform cabinet directors of relevant Senate policy work, act as a liaison between the executive and legislative branches. It is not necessary to require that the Chief of Staff attend SOC meetings in this capacity for this purpose, because senators and directors already work together on an as-needed basis to advance policies of mutual interest, while leadership in both branches meet regularly in the Senate Executive Committee to discuss strategic matters. And it is therefore an effective policy to maintain this role. It would be more effective for both branches to allow the Chief of Staff more flexibility in their work commitments while also pushing senators and directors to directly collaborate on meaningful work by removing this role. Be it enacted that Section 1, Article 4, Section 11.K2 of the KSU-SGA Strategic Bylaw shall be amended as follows. Section 2, membership. Section A, Strategic Oversight Committee Chair. B, at least 7 student senators. C, student at large. D, the line is being struck. If you're cross-referencing this against the SGA public documents, it's out of date. It says that the pro tem and the Chief of Staff are ex officios. That's not true. We updated the statutes, but not the website. So line 31 and 32 is what it actually is, though not what it's recorded to be. Section 2, this legislation shall take effect upon passage by the Student Senate, signature of the Student Body President.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Senator Brown.
I did not understand any of that. Can you please summarize it?
Yes. So right now, SOC does like long-term stuff. So we don't do allocations. We have 7 senators and then a bunch of interested students that are just focusing on individual projects. So some of them want to make textbooks cheaper. Some of them want to support police and safety on campus. The Chief of Staff serves as a non-voting ex officio member. So that just means that by virtue of their position as Chief of Staff, they have the right to be a member on SOC. But whenever we refer legislation, they don't get yay, nay, abstain. The theory and the documentation and in like the founding legislation of the Strategic Oversight Committee, the theory was that it is in the executive and legislative branch's mutual interest to have liaisons in each other's groups so that members in the cabinet and the legislative branch can communicate. Nowadays, we're all on teams. Nowadays, directors go to SOC meetings whenever their work is relevant to the legislature. Nowadays, members of the legislature attend cabinet or Senate exec whenever they need to talk to leadership in the branches. And so, according to the whereas clauses, though I can't debate the merits of them, the theory is that Section D is no longer necessary. So,
Any further questions for the author? Okay. Thank you, Philip. All right, and with that, we will move into our second open period. Are there any second open period speakers? Advisor Jackson.
So we've got an important opportunity potentially before us. The bill about applied learning, I think, has a lot of merit. And so I'm bringing up a friend and colleague from the University of Pretoria in South Africa, somebody I've worked with for many years. I've had the opportunity and be able to go to travel to South Africa and work with our colleagues that are doing student housing, student government work in South Africa. And Lanshe Van Tonder, who's my colleague here, friend, has approached us about the idea of having a student leader exchange. So this is his opportunity to see our student government in action. He has a lot of familiarity with the student government action in his campus. And for context, University of Victoria is one of the top 150 universities of the world. An exceptional university. I've been there many times. They're doing great work in research and student preparation, and they're doing great work in their country as well as the globe. And so I brought my friend and colleague, Lanshe, here. We're actually here. We're traveling to St. Louis next week for an executive leadership meeting, conference meeting, where he and I both are part of our leadership of our global association. And he's been on our campus now. This is the second time. The last time was when we didn't have students around. So he was here 2 summers ago, which looks a little bit different. June looks a lot different than October, obviously. So I was going to let Lanshe share a few words about what he's interested in as far as the student exchange and what his students could benefit from coming to the Manhattan and what our students could gain from going to the University of Victoria. So, yeah.
Thanks, Derek. Good evening, everyone. It's good to be here. Thanks. I'm from the University of Pretoria, currently around 65,000 students. Our residence accommodation is around 8,000 students that we accommodate in 29 residence halls. Part of my portfolio there is the residence management and student life of the students there, so I head that portfolio. And as Derek mentioned, I'm quite excited and interested in student leadership. And this is a great opportunity where the idea is to 1 year bring 10 students from South Africa, from our institution to KSU, spend 10 to 12 days here, go through leadership structures, but also seeing what the student life of KSU is like, and then the following year, sending a couple of your students to our institution and accommodate and show you what we have there. Just exchanging and making it a more academic program as well as seeing what the student life offerings are and what the differences are in our, individual institutions. So we'll probably at a different stage, Derek, formalize something and come present something here. Maybe I can get a student or two to be involved as well, and to share what they think is the ideal setup and get your feedback and make this work. Yeah,
So
very excited about this.
One of the things that he and I are committed to is that if his students come to our campus, we will take care of their room and board while they're here. So they'll put them up in apartments or on the residence halls. We'll feed them, be able to really make it more affordable, and vice versa. So really the biggest expense is obviously the flight between our two countries, and the time away from campus. But I think in a long game, it would be very beneficial. And we think about the applied learning that Brady was talking about, working with the applied learning office that requires 45 hours of commitment and opportunity to learn and grow. I easily see this being an opportunity to qualify for applied learning credit. And I think really the opportunity to grow culturally, seeing students from around the globe, is going to be an exceptional opportunity.
Can I ask whether anyone here has been to South Africa before? Can I see whether someone would be interested in that? Okay. I thought so. Our people would love to come here as well. I enjoy your campus a lot. Yeah, thanks.
Any questions?
Yeah, are there any questions? President Kappelman.
Thanks for being here. What do you think has been your favorite part of being on campus?
So I always compare, so I travel quite a bit and comparing the different student life and aspects and the way of students are doing things to our institution, and that's kind of what I do wherever I go. But I love the way in which the students here are, I don't know whether it's a culture, but everyone is just so proper and respectful to whoever they are and wherever they are. So that I appreciate from this campus, apart from obviously the beautiful external spaces as well. But just the way that the students carry themselves at KSU, that's what I appreciate a lot. It's my second time, so I haven't been a lot, but the
He's
one.
going to go to a football game on Saturday, so we'll see how long we get.
Getting all kids in and tailgating and all that, yes.
Chair Black.
Yeah, let's see, this is Jeopardy, how to phrase this like a question, but I would recommend you also take them out down to the pub crawls tomorrow night. Or I guess what is, I would recommend that you go see the pub crawls.
I actually have thought about that. I've gone on behalf of him and his team to sort of the pub crawls of South Africa, University of Victoria. It's a great place to meet students and see students in action. So we haven't discussed that yet. He's going to go to the homecoming parade tomorrow night just to see the culture of that, and we'll see where the night goes.
Are there any?
Go everywhere, yeah.
Are there any further questions? Senator Otto.
What's been your favorite food you've tried in America?
So something very basic that I tried every single restaurant, every single space that I am in is just trying their specific burger, basic burger just to compare wherever I go. Yeah, but probably the pizza in Chicago is my favorite if I need to get to something, yeah.
Senator Kerry.
Not exciting though, but it's the general one.
Senator Kerry.
How many times do you get asked if you're Australian, or if your accent is Australian and not South African?
1 out of 4 times they ask the question where you're from. Yeah. Australia or New Zealand, and sometimes even British. So, yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you for being here. Are there any further second open period speakers? Commissioner, oh my gosh, I do this every time. Senator Zacko.
Okay, so I just wanted to give a brief little update. We've had 2 weeks of the first 2 classes of the Emerging Leaders program. It has gone so well. I love all my little students that come. I don't know what to call them, emerging leaders, all my friends, I don't know. They're awesome. I think there's a lot of promise for the future of SGA. So it's really exciting to see everyone that put in hard work to help me recruit for this program. Your efforts were very much appreciated, and they're worthwhile because we have a lot of good people that I think are going to be future student body presidents in that class. So if you are interested in coming to kind of sit in on one of the classes, both of the classes, next week, Brady is coming to speak to my class about the executive branch. Last week we heard from Katie Albertson and Josh, I don't know how to say his last name, Maupin, Attorney General and Deputy Attorney General, and they did great. So if you want to come kind of see what the program's about, it's been an awesome experience. And yeah, I think there's a good future of SGA. So thank you guys for helping recruit.
All right, any further second open period speakers? Senator Pena.
You could have done the same. You were way closer to me.
So what she's pulling up basically, as we talked in our last caucus leaders meeting, is how we want to continue to keep everyone together at some point, and keep getting together throughout our Senate term, and how we can continue whether that's caucus to caucus or as a Senate as a whole. And so we'll be sending this out, and so please fill this out. If you have any other ideas, continue to bring them in. I'll keep sorting through them, and I'll get back with all of you via email, or I can present during Senate just so everyone makes sure that they saw it. So thank you.
Any other open period speakers? All right, real quick before we move into Senate shout-outs, by a show of hands, how many people will be here next Thursday in light of Wildcat Pause Day? Will be here.
Raise your hand, please.
Roxy's raised too.
Okay, fire. Thanks. All right, Senate shout-outs are next.
Hello! Senate shout-out time. Today we have over under 100 skates. We have 36 today. Very good. Good job, y'all. Shout out to Jaycock for all their hard work. Shout out to the K-State 8 for being the best system. If we want to win, we need to make 87 SMU look like a perfectly legal operation. It's funny. Max, I fear your orange is not your color. Shout out to a lot of crosstalk. Shout out to Max. Bestie, you are so brave pulling up dressed like a crayon.
Thank you.
Shout out to post-Senate sweet treats. Shout out to debate like questions. Shout out discussion chat for hosting second open period topic. Shout out to Max for looking like a dad pumpkin. Shout out to Ebe returning to the chamber. Shout out to a short meeting. Only thing shorter is Andrew Lee. I'm gonna find you, whoever wrote this one. Shout out to Max, impressive prison break. Max, I love the confidence, but please never wear this fit again. Shout out to blowing up the group me. Shout out to Sam's haircut. You look great, Diva. Shout out to Emma slaying her first time at the podium. Shout out to, are we clapping? Yes, Emma, very good, yay! Shout out to Evelyn's outfit. If she were cross-examining me, I'd probably pee my pants, but the bad word for it. Shout out to Max dressing up as the Great Pumpkin. Hot take, Jaycock is doing a great job. Shout out to Joseph's question about Max's outfit. We were wondering this all night. Shout out to the banana pub crawl. Shout out to Max Black for rocking the convict fit. Shout out to Max for passing the buck on his own committee. I love the South African accent. Shout out to Andrew's fun socks. Can we get a review? You sure can. Pop-Tart socks. From the Pop-Tart Bowl. Shout out to Sam's hair being shorter than Joseph's now. Shout out to South African accents. They're quite cool. Shout out to Max's fit. Bestie, spring is not your season. Shout out to back in my day of K-State 8. Shout out to pub crawls. Shout out to Max looking like an inmate. Shout out to emerging leaders, the heart of SGA. Shout out to Katie. Good job with the emerging leaders program. Stop submitting more. Shout out to Josh mopping. Shout out to house parties. Let's get litty. Shout out to Max dressing like Mama's little pumpkin. And I have one last shout out for me personally to Evelyn and Christian. I'm proud of you guys for going through this week of Student Ambassador. I was a finalist last year, if you didn't know. It's a tough world out there. It's super fun though. You get to be involved in homecoming. So whatever the results are on Saturday, just know that you guys represented yourself well in SGA well. So kudos to you guys.
Oh, I'm blushing. Thanks, Andrew. Okay, all right, real quick, for reference of legislation, bills 30, 31, and 32 will be referred to the Student Allocations Committee. Bill 23 referred to Senate Exec, and then Bill 29 referred to Strategic Oversight. And with that, we will move into second roll call.
Bless you, Ethan. Alvarez.
Here.
Barnes. Is she here? Not Barnes, sorry. Oh, she's here by proxy?
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe not.
I didn't know. Okay, Benson. Benson, bless you. Brown Logan.
Here.
Brown White.
Here.
Carey.
Here.
Koch.
Here.
Dunn.
Here.
Dominguez Erickson. Gotcha. Freeman.
Here.
George.
Here.
Griffith.
Here.
Glasscock. Haug. Halstead. Heller. Bless you. Holmes. Holzmeister. Kramer. Gotcha. Karunaratna.
Here.
Kraus. Jacobson. Hassan Shakib.
Here.
Landwehr.
Here.
Lilly. Mickey. Mitchell.
Here.
Gotcha. Olingunju. Okay. Perfect. Otto.
Here.
Pena. Perry. Phillips.
Here.
Polenko Castro. Potter. Prey.
Here.
Rafferty. Richburg. Richenberg. Rogers.
He's here by proxy.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that. Rudd.
Here.
Scarborough.
Here by proxy.
Shellhaze.
Here.
Shirky.
Here.
Shasavari. So, gotcha.
Here.
Thanks. Springer. Sushanik.
Here.
Trump.
Here.
Zacko.
Here.
Everyone get counted on? I gotcha. Sorry.
Oh. Like,
That's it.
All right, is there a motion for adjournment? Senator Pena.
That was it.
What?
I moved to adjourn the meeting and reconvene on October 23rd at 7 p.m.
Second.
October 23rd?
Correct.
No objection.
Okay, so we tentatively are having a meeting next week, so just quickly amend your, anyway, it's fine.
October 16th.
Thank you. Okay. All right, is there a second? All in favor, raise your placards. Proxies raised too. All opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned.